now tuned into The Truth with G. Inspire, educate, and uplift. If you can't handle the truth, this ain't the show for you. The truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So sit back, relax, and buckle up and enjoy this ride.
The Truth with G. The Truth with G. The Truth.
All right. Welcome back to the show. You're listening to The Truth with G on WPMM Internet Radio. I am your boy, Gerald Graham. You know me as G. Once again, we are back to talk about the issues that matter to you and your community. Hope all is well, people. Hope all is well. It is Thursday. We are headed toward the weekend once again. Some of you just coming off a long weekend, and it's almost time for the weekend again. Isn't that lovely? One more day, and we're headed into the weekend. Hope that you guys had a great long weekend. I was on Monday with you. Haven't been on since the I ventured it. I hesitate to use the word holiday. But anyway, hope that you guys had a great day off on Tuesday, which was the day that they celebrate the Independence Day, July 4th. Hope that you had a good time with your families, and hope that you had some good food, some good barbecue, good fellowship, good fun. Hope you enjoyed yourself. Hope you was responsible. I didn't check the jail view to see if anybody got locked up for doing anything crazy. So I hope you did it responsibly, whatever you did over the weekend, the holidays, if you will. But we're back. We're back to talk about these issues once again, because there's a lot going on in this crazy world that we currently live in, and we have to talk about it. But I want to thank you for tuning in. We are here every Monday, Thursday, 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time, right here on WPMM Internet Radio, where we play more music. We play the best in R&B, jazz, neo, soul, talk, independent hip-hop, old school music. You can go to the website, WPMMradio.com, and listen to the show. We're on TuneIn, we're on iTunes, we're on Alexa, we're on Facebook Live as well. You can go to the Apple Store or the Google Play Store and download the app. It's a free app. You can also go to the website, WPMMradio.com, and download the app as well. You can take that app anywhere you have a mobile device, phone, tablet, what have you, computer, and you can catch WPMM anywhere. However, with WPMM, if you're listening to my show, we're on Facebook as well. So if you're joining me tonight on Facebook, let's go ahead and share. If you would, go ahead and share. If you have someone who may not be tech savvy that need to listen to the show or want to listen to the show, just text them, WPMMradio.com. Let's put that in the message field. WPMMradio.com. Just send that to them. All I have to do is click on it and hit play, and they can listen to the show as well. So, just trying to take care of all the particulars so we can jump into the topics. And I want to hear from you today as well. Not taking calls, but if you're listening on Facebook, put your comments in the comment section. Again, we're gonna try to tackle a host of topics today. One being, I'm going to go ahead and set it up for you. One being parental dress codes. And I'm going to tell you why I came up with that, because I just got slightly irritated a little bit, and I just thought I'd talk about it as well. But anyway, the views and opinions expressed by individual radio hosts and guests are of their own and does not necessarily affect the official policy or position of WPMM Radio. WPMM does not intend to align with any religion, ethnic group, club, organization, company, individual, or anyone or anything. Have to say that, so in case you try to sue, you're not going to get anything out of me. 17 cents in the jelly jar. For my normal listeners, they know what I'm talking about. Just ask one of them. They'll tell you about that 17 cents. So, but once again, we are here. We are here live, Facebook Live. If you're on Facebook, go ahead and share. If you're on Facebook, hit a thumbs up or hearts. Let me know you're out there. Share it with someone. And again, I welcome your comments. If you put a comment in the comment section, I will read your comment out loud. We'll read it out loud. That way, I can share with you, particularly people that are listening on WPMMradio.com. They can't see the comments on Facebook, so I will read your comment out loud. So, but like I said, if you're out there, go ahead and share. Go ahead and share if you would. So, it's been an interesting couple of really been an interesting year so far. But we have a few things that's going on in the neighborhood, if you will. We're broadcasting from the great turbulent city of Pensacola, Florida, right here in the Panhandle. For those who are outside of the local area here, but one thing, a couple things I want to mention up front. On Sunday, Mr. Gregory Thornhill is throwing a awards banquet honoring the Black men of the local Pensacola area. And what it is a award ceremony where the different categories, individuals were nominated for each category. The categories range from a variety of different things, from best podcast, which I was nominated for that, best barber shop, things like that. I mean, it's just a way just honoring the Black men and their contributions to the community. And that is going to take place on Sunday at Grotto Hall at 7:00. And the voting closed a little while back, but now it's time for the ceremony, which will be Sunday again. And like for you to come out and support. I can't say that I'm going to win and or anything of that nature, but I am humbled and I am honored just to be nominated, because the nomination came from you. It came from the people. It didn't come from one individual picking people. It was a matter of people voting and casting votes for individuals, and however it was structured, I ended up being one of the nominees. So I thank everybody who casted their vote for me. We'll find out who got the most votes on Sunday. But win, lose, or draw. I'm honored, and I do this for you guys. I really do. I really don't do it for me. The only gratification that I get out of it is that hopefully someone has learned something, or I've been able to educate someone in something that they may not have known, information that they can use and wasn't privy to based on the situation with our current media, because our media, regardless of what station you listen to, or TV station you listen to, it has somewhat a certain bias, if you will, in all of them. Even though we have our more reputable media outlets, then we have stuff like Newsmax and Fox that just generate conspiracy theories and things of that nature. But the unfortunate thing is we have a lot of people that listen to that, and we have a lot of people that believe what they are saying. And even though that they are basically just throwing out conspiracy theory after conspiracy theory, lie after lie, and they are fearmongers. They are trying to get people to believe what they say out of fear. And I've been, ever since the old school, I call it fear of a black planet. Anything that happens where black people may get the upper hand, they fearmonger on those topics until they can scare the base into voting against or doing something against anything that will bring black, brown, LGBTQ community into any type of power, or bring them into a majority, if you will. So, but anyway, I know I got off on a little tangent there, and we was talking about the award ceremony. Sunday, 7:00 p.m., Grotto Hall. I believe tickets are still available. I don't know if they're going to be available at the door, but you can contact Gregory Thornhill in regards to tickets. But I would love to see your face in the place. I would love to see people who listen to the show to be out there at the award ceremony. Again, win, lose, or draw, I am humbled and I am thankful to be a nominee for that award. So, let's see, anything else we have going on. And I want to let me shout out to my boy Willow. If you don't know who Willow is a local staple here in Pensacola. He promotes a lot of things. He does a lot of things in regards to promotion, events, entertainment, things of that nature. But he has been doing all summer, started back in, I think it started in April or May, where he does Pensacola Happy Hour. And Pensacola Happy Hour is a event that takes place downtown Pensacola. And if you know anything about Pensacola, it is hard for anyone or any organization, if you will, of color to get the okay to do events downtown Pensacola. It doesn't happen very often. Not saying it don't happen at all, but it don't happen very often. When black people hold events, they tend to go elsewhere in the city to try to hold these events. But he was able to nail down the Museum Plaza for the whole summer. I think it started in April or May. I could be wrong, but it goes through the first or second weekend of August, if you will. Every Friday night, it's a free event. Doesn't cost you anything. There's vendors set up out there. You bring your lawn chairs, you bring your, if you want to bring food and drink out there, but there's people out there that bring their card tables and they set up and they play cards. There's dancing, there's fellowship, there's friends. You run into people that you hadn't seen in years. It is a great atmosphere to be in, and I am one. I'm very picky about where I go. I'm very picky about people that I'll be around. But I can say that Willow has put together a great event down there, and it's every Friday night from 5 to 10 p.m. Every Friday night, 5 to 10 p.m. And black people are funny. Black people are funny, especially during the summer months. It's like they treat summer like they're Dracula. They don't come outside until the sun goes down. But the event starts at 5. Again, great event, great atmosphere. If you haven't been, you need to go. You need to check it out. So that's Museum Plaza, Fridays, 5 to 10 p.m., where Mr. Willow is putting that on. It's a free event for the community. He's doing it for the community, so we have somewhere to go and something to do. Black folks always want to say that there's nothing to do in Pensacola, but I beg to differ. I beg to differ. I challenge you to go downtown Pensacola any night of the week. Any night of the week, Monday, Sunday through Saturday. And you will find a host of things to do downtown Pensacola, I promise you. And it's our time. We have Mr. McCorvey down there. Mr. John McCorvey, who is the owner of Gaston Flights downtown Pensacola and Palafox, the prime real estate down there. He is the only black-owned business on Palafox. He has Gaston Flights, a wine tasting room, and there's events going on there all the time. There's food, there's wine, there's what have you. There's good times. It goes on every Wednesday night. There's karaoke going on down there. Thursday night is ladies' night, I believe. Friday nights is whatever. Yeah, I mean, there's always something going on down there at Gaston Flights from John McCorvey. So go down there and check him out as well. So I know I'm rambling, but I want to talk about a couple things. I'm going to go on somewhat of a sad note here. Because I catch wind of things, and there's a lot of things that's not reported in our news, in our local news, in our national news. Individual situations. They may report on blanket type situations, but individuals. But we need to talk about this fentanyl situation. And I'm trying to understand. People that choose to use fentanyl. I can't understand it. I know it's a drug that is used in hospitals. I know it's a drug that is prescribed for people that leave hospitals or come out of hospital with certain conditions and things of that nature. But I'm trying to wrap my brain around the use of fentanyl. I've never had any type of drug addiction. I've never had any type of alcohol addiction. Hell, I never even done drugs. I don't drink alcohol at all. Never have. So it's hard for me to relate, if you will. The only addiction that I can that I can say I probably have, and it may not be an addiction, it's just a taste, a want, if you will, is to Diet Cokes. It's like I can only go so long without having a cold Diet Coke. And when I get to the point to where I haven't had one in a little while, I start craving it, and it's like I have to go get one. So that's the only thing I can really relate to it, because again, I've never had an addiction, a substance addiction, if you will. But with this fentanyl is a whole different ball game from your weed, from your cocaine, from your what else is, hell, I can't even name different drugs. That's a shame. But it's a different ball game, because fentanyl is 10 times more deadly than, let's say, a Percocet, if you will. And Percocet is another pain medication. So for me to try to understand why a human being would risk life to take fentanyl, I can't understand it. I'm trying to. Like I say, it's supposedly an addiction, but at the same time, you can only be addicted to something after you use it. So what is going on in the minds of those people who have never had fentanyl, never used fentanyl, to say, I'm going to take this fentanyl tablet, or I'm going to snort this fentanyl pill, or I'm going to lace this cigarette or this joint with fentanyl? What is it that's going on in their mind where they feel that they want to try a drug that they know could end their life? And I was trying to get the numbers as far as fentanyl deaths, and I got last year's numbers, and just in this area, Escambia County is crucial when it comes to this fentanyl drug. 2022, there was 233 fentanyl deaths in 2022, and there were several deaths in the last couple of weeks here in 2023 in regards to fentanyl. And some, I try to do research on this thing and try to figure out what's going on. And I know that in a lot of cases, we have people who are taking fentanyl on purpose, and then we have those who are getting fentanyl without them even knowing that they are partaking in that particular drug. What are you talking about, Joe? How have people taking this drug and they don't know they're taking it? Well, here's the thing. This fentanyl is being used to lace other things, such as weed, marijuana, if you will. These joints and these blunts that you come across, that you partake with other people in smoking, a lot of times that's laced in weed. I have a theory. I cannot verify this with statistics, if you will. But I think my theory is based on just common sense and just knowledge, if you will, of why people are lacing this weed and other things with fentanyl, and even adding fentanyl to like cocaine or whatnot. So and this is my theory. Once again, this is my theory. This is not based on any type of, actual statistics that has been written or researched, if you will. But with these drug dealers, we have I hate to say, small time drug dealers in Pensacola. There's no kingpins here. There's no, there's nobody that's bringing in ships and choppers and airplanes and things of that nature to drop off drugs here in Pensacola. But we have these people who are street level dealers that are not making a whole lot of money and are trying to figure out ways to make extra money in their illegal entrepreneurial extracurricular activities, if you will, their entrepreneurial adventures. So what keeps a customer coming back? Just like if you was to go to a restaurant, that restaurant owner wants to make sure that you have an experience or that you have a meal or a dish that is so good that it's going to bring you back to that restaurant because people know that that's the only place that they can go to get this dish and get this meal, and it's going to taste this way. Owners, they try to get something that's going to hook you in and bring you back. McDonald's, French fries. I know people that go to McDonald's just for the French fries. They can't stand the burgers, but they'll go somewhere else and get a burger, but they'll go to McDonald's to get those French fries. They'll make that extra trip. They go to Whataburger and get a burger, or they go to Wendy's and get a burger, and then they swip around and go to McDonald's for the French fries. Same thing, same concept. Again, this is my theory. I feel like it's the same concept with these street level drug dealers. They have to do something to make sure that person comes back to them. So I feel, again, my theory, I feel that these drug dealers may be lacing these simple marijuana cigarettes or blunts or whatever you want to call them, and they're giving this stuff out, lacing this weed and whatever, and giving this stuff out, and these people are getting a high that they will chase forever and never catch. However, when you're dealing with fentanyl, you can deal with a little bit and you can deal with a lot. And I don't think that the people that are using this to lace other drugs, I don't think they are scientists and can figure out just how much of this you can use without killing a person. Again, fentanyl is 10 times more deadly than other pain meds, if you will. So even though someone think they're going to buy weed, just regular weed or whatever the case may be off the streets or whatever, it's being laced with fentanyl, then they take it and there's too much fentanyl in there, and next thing you know, the persons who bought that fentanyl, their face is on a t-shirt and their family is mourning. But what that's what people consider accidental fentanyl deaths. Accidental fentanyl deaths is when people take fentanyl on purpose, but they don't think they're taking enough to do them harm to the point of death. And then you find yourself overdosed. And again, 233 fentanyl deaths last year. That's not counting overdoses, just the regular overdoses. It's not counting the people that survived. Those are the ones that didn't survive. 233 in 2022. So that's about one every two. No, that's about 1.6. So I'm in the public school, so my math may be off just a little bit. That's about 1 per 6 per every 2 days. 1.4 every 2 days. We'll go with that. Sounds good. Sounds good. Again, I went to public school. So pretty much every other day, 1 1 to 2 people is dying of fentanyl, accidental overdose. And just imagine the people that overdosed that didn't die. Just imagine what those numbers could be. And I think there was a program, I don't know if it's still going on, if somebody can research it for me and put it in the comment section. There's at one point in time, Narcan was being made available at no cost. And I don't know if it's still that program is still going on. So if somebody can just research Narcan for me, I would do it. But I'm one of those. I can't multitask. I can't type and talk at the same time. So if I start typing, I got to stop. Yeah, and I'm trying to type right now. That's why I keep stop talking. But it was being given out free at one point in time. And they came out in kits because of the multiple overdoses, accidental overdoses that was taking place. At one point in time, you can go to like your local drugstore, I think, health department, whatever. And I don't know if they're still doing it for free. So, but the Narcan drug is dangerous in itself. However, it can prevent death in these overdoses. And it's administered through the nasal cavity. And once a person gets to the point where they have OD'd and they become somewhat lifeless and non-responsive and whatnot, you can administer Narcan, and it's a reverse effect to the fentanyl. However, the Narcan can have effects as well, but at least you're not dead. You know, Narcan for it to reverse the symptoms of fentanyl, it has to be even a more powerful drug, if you will. But again, it was a program that was given away for free because it was necessary to stop all of the accidental overdoses. So I will try to get that information and pass it along to you in regards to those Narcans, because I think, some of us know, some of us don't know someone who is addicted to a substance or whatever, and that may be in your family, may not be in your family, may be a friend of yours or what have you. But anytime that you're around these people, anytime if someone in your home is addicted, it's a good thing to have these Narcan sprays handy, if you will. I know people that claim that they carry it around in their purse, or they keep one in their car in case they come across someone who can, who is an addict, if you will, and has the possibility of overdosing. And I'm sorry, I'm trying to find information, but it's hard for me to talk and type and research at the same time. But I didn't know I was going in the direction of Narcan and talk about that today, but I just did. But I don't have the information to back up to see if it's still free. But again, someone out there listening, if you know about a Narcan program, put it in the comment section, if you will. I'd appreciate it so I can pass it on. So, but we have to get under control. This fentanyl situation is killing a lot of people. It's killing a lot of our youth, if you will. A lot of our young people are dying of this because they're experimenting with this, that, and the other, and it's causing grief amongst our young people. I think I got wind in the last couple of days that we lost 1 or 2 young people to fentanyl here locally. But I'm trying to understand. We need to get programs in place. We do have programs in place. We just got to get these people to these programs so they can take advantage of it and get off of this deadly drug Um, and also, we got to get a handle on distribution of this drug, because these fentanyl, you know, don't believe that it's only coming across the southern border. Don't believe what the dumbasses on the right are saying, that all the fentanyl is coming across the border. No, all is not coming across the southern border. It's coming in from other countries. It's coming in from Australia. It's coming down from Canada. Things of that nature. It's coming in on airplanes. The Mexicans aren't bringing every fentanyl pill across the border. So don't believe that. Don't vilify those people who are seeking asylum, because the dumbass people on the right are saying all they are rapists and drug dealers and killers that are coming across the southern border. Don't believe the hype in that. So, but anyway, we got to do what we got to do to get a hold on this fentanyl. Let's move on. If you're just joining us on the Truth with G right here on WPMM Radio, it is Topics Thursday. We're going through a gamut of topics here today, and we just talked about the fentanyl situation. Let's move on to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court of the United States of the so-called Americas. The Supreme Court is the new Klan. That's right, I said it. The Supreme Court is the new KKK. Because they are making rulings. They are making rulings that is allowing discrimination amongst different groups of individuals. So, if you're wondering what I'm talking about, there was two. The session ended on June 30th, the last day of June, July 1st, if you will. When that session ended, and as far as Supreme Court, so a lot of rulings came down. I hadn't had a chance to get to all of them, but the major ones, two major ones, is going to be one, the ruling that they made that allowed discrimination. Two, the affirmative action. Affirmative action has been in place for 40 some odd years, for almost 5 decades. Almost older than I am as far as affirmative action. Affirmative action was put in place by, it was put in place because of the inequality when it came to college admissions. Because obviously Black people were not being accepted in these white colleges. That's why we have our HBCUs, because Black people couldn't get into the white colleges and definitely couldn't get into the Ivy League colleges back in the day. So affirmative action came in. And when you talk about affirmative action, this is not providing a privilege, if you will, to people who aren't educated enough or who are not qualified to go to these colleges. It's not that. It is set in place to allow equal opportunity for minorities to have an equal shot at admissions, just like their white counterparts, if you will. So if you have a 2.1 grade point average in high school, and you go to apply for Yale or Harvard, and you don't get in, that has nothing to do with the color of your skin. That has to do with you don't have the criteria and the right grade point average, if you will. You don't have what they need to get into the school. However, if you are qualified, if you have the requirements and the GPA and whatever they require for you to enter that school, color should not be a barrier in the entrance or the selection process to that particular institution. But it was. That's why we had affirmative action. To where it said, it basically, and I'm putting it in a nutshell, where if you had an individual of color who met the criteria, they cannot be turned away because of the color of their skin. That's what affirmative action is. They've been verified. They are qualified. So therefore, you cannot turn them away because of the color of their skin. It was set to where there was a certain percentage of admissions had to come from those qualified Black individuals, Black and brown people, to where it made it as equal as it could be. And let me tell you about some of these Ivy League schools in regard to their acceptance and getting into these elite colleges, if you will. Those colleges have where they grandfather people in. They grandfather them in. They bring them in based on their last name, based on contributions, based on how much the family done gave to that institution and whatnot. There was a process to where if you were a descendant, if you will, of an individual that attended that college or that institution, that you were automatically eligible for that college, even though you may not have met the criteria. So just because your name was, whoever name is on that building on campus, or whoever donated this amount of money, or whoever went to that school and graduated 40 years ago, you was accepted. And we know that outside of HBCUs, there's no Black people names on these prestigious colleges. None of the buildings on their campus. We know that. So affirmative action came along to make it somewhat equal when it came to college admissions. Been in place for 40 some odd years. The Supreme Court, it is majority conservatives, or assholes, if you want to, I call them, on the right, that voted 6-3 to make affirmative action, quote unquote, unconstitutional. So therefore, affirmative action is dead in the water because of a ruling by the Supreme Court. And the funny and sad thing is that with this ruling, there's an individual that sits on the Supreme Court by the name of Clarence Sellout Thomas. Clarence Sellout Thomas is the one of two Black people that currently sits on the Supreme Court. He is a Republican. Some argue that he shouldn't have never been there, if you will. He shouldn't have never made it through the nomination process when he was going through because of controversy. But anyway, he's there. He's the token sellout that sits on the Supreme Court. The other Black person on the Supreme Court is Jackson. I forget. Lord Jesus, I forgot her name. But anyway, Jackson is her last name. She was newly appointed to the Supreme Court. So it's two Black people in the court. Clarence Thomas. Clarence Thomas went to an Ivy League school. And guess how Clarence Thomas got admitted to that Ivy League school? It was through affirmative action. So even though Clarence Thomas got into his college because of affirmative action, he's sitting on the Supreme Court as we speak because of affirmative action. But he decided to vote against equality for Black people. As a Black man who benefited from the same program or the same legislation that he benefited from. He slashed it. He took it from under everybody else's feet to where they can't rise like he did. That's just like, you know, getting on top of the house with a ladder. You put the ladder up and you climb on top of the house, and then you pull that ladder up with you so nobody can climb up there with you. That's the best, you know, scenario I can give you to give you a visual on what that means in regards to him voting against or voting to reverse affirmative action. So then the Supreme Court, the new KKK, is the Klan, the Supreme Court is the Klan. Then they went on to vote against a case that came before them, to where there was an individual that went to, and there's controversy about this. There's controversy about this whole situation. I'm gonna get to that on another show. But there was someone who was trying to develop a website for the LGBTQ community for whatever reasons, for whatever event they had going on. They're trying to develop a website. They went to a website developing company, and that website developing company told them, "No, we're not going to make this website for you because you're gay. I'm not going to support your gayness by providing you with services. You can go somewhere else." They were sued, and the Supreme Court ruled in the favor of the store, or the developer, if you will, which means that it sets a precedent that a company or a business can discriminate against a person because of who they are or who they sleep with. And that opens the door for discrimination based on religion, based on race, based on gender, based on belief, if you will. It opens the door because there has been a precedent set. And anytime that I'm not a lawyer, but I've watched a lot of TV, if you will. But once a precedent is set in the Supreme Court, those are the cases that when lawyers take something to trial, they research these cases and they make case law based on what has taken place in other courts in other similar situations. So when they go to argue about a discrimination case, they're going to cite this particular case. They're going to cite the case, such and such versus such and such. In this particular case, that the Supreme Court ruled that they can discriminate against this company based on their religious beliefs, and they don't have to service or provide services for this customer based on the fact that this customer don't believe what they believe. So just imagine that. Let's go a few years back. Good evening, Angela. Good evening, sis. How you doing? Good to see you on here tonight. Appreciate you. Let's go back a few years. Let's go back around the time that I came on this earth. Let's go back to the 60s and the 50s, if you will. That's when lunch counters, when you had Black people that could not go and sit at lunch counters and eat their lunch. Back when you had Black people that couldn't drink out of water fountains that were designated for white people. Back when you had where Black people had to go in the back entrance of hotels and things of that nature, where Black people couldn't, they had to do their dealings in the daytime because they couldn't get caught at night. Let's go back to those days. Those are the days where discrimination was allowed. It was promoted. It was known. It was degrading to those who had to suffer from it. But with this Supreme Court ruling, it's taking us back to those days. Again, it's setting the precedents. Again, case law is established through precedents. If a judge has ruled on a certain case in a certain manner, that is what is used to argue for that defense person or that plaintiff, if you will. So that's setting dangerous territory, because we see that a lot of the Jim Crow-ish type laws are coming back, particularly when it comes against Black people, and Black and brown people, especially here in the state of Florida. So Those are the two most notable rulings that has taken place in our Supreme Court in the last week or two, but there's more. And eventually I'm going to get to all of it. I just have to find the time to sit down and go through it. My schedule is you know, I'm on the run, and it's like time. I don't have enough time to get to everything, but I do try because I want to pass on the information to my listeners to make sure that they. I apologize. If you're on Facebook, you might see a little interesting look on my faces because I am trying to figure out exactly what's going on. Hopefully everything is good. But anyway, let's move on. Let's move on. Let's move on. So really, that's what's going on in the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is the new Ku Klux Klan. They are acting like Klansmen. There's 6 justices that sit, conservative justices. There's 3 liberal judges, and the votes are coming 6-3 in regards to any legislation that is set to oppress Black, brown people, and members of the LGBTQ community. So I'll figure out what's going on here in a moment. But I want to thank you for joining me. Let's move on. Let's talk about some other things. Let's try to cover dress codes, parents' dress codes. And I'm gonna talk about this real brief. And I'm gonna put this question on my Facebook page. I'm gonna put the question out there, and I'm gonna get people to respond to it. And on the next show, based on the responses I get, I'm gonna read some of the responses that I get in regards to parental dress codes. What are you talking about, Gerald? What's a parental dress code? You know, I've been out and about quite a bit. I've been in a lot of different places, a lot of different situations, a lot of different events, if you will, where certain dress codes are required to attend some of these, and then some has no dress code. However, I was at a particular place, and I'm not going to say where or when, because I'm not trying to call out any one particular individual. But just imagine being somewhere and you see someone who, I'm 55 years old, just in case somebody's wondering. I am 55 years old. Now, I saw someone who was probably my age or may have been slightly older. Had a gray beard, you know. I will call it salt and pepper beard, but I can say it was, you know, it's probably 60% salt, 40% pepper. But anyway, we're going to say he was in the range of 55 to 58, in that range. And I seen this individual, and he walked past me, and his pants hanging off his ass. And I just, it took everything in me not to approach this individual and ask this individual, why are you walking around here with your pants hanging off your ass at your age? But I have to be careful when I do things of that nature, because everybody don't take kindly to being called out in certain situations. So I felt like if I had said something, I may have to fight him, and I didn't feel like fighting that particular day because I had my white on that day, so I didn't want to fight with my white on. So I just left it alone. But I was thinking to myself, what are these people thinking? Why would someone, 55 to 58 years old, be walking around here with their pants hanging off their behind, and we trying to get these jits around here to pull their pants up? What kind of example are we setting here? That was one, and he's not the only one. I've seen others, but that particular one just kind of stood out because, when I seen the whole salt and pepper full beard, if you will, and you could tell that this gentleman was not in high school and not in college. Uh, it just struck me the wrong way. And then I look around, and again, I see other men that are dressed. There's other men, most of them younger, that are dressed similar or whatever. And I'm like, I don't understand the phase, if you will, why people want to walk around with their pants hanging out their butt. Then I got to looking at some of the attire that women have, and I kind of peeped that out, in different places and what have you. And I always, if I look at someone younger and someone younger than me have on something that I deem to be not appropriate, I always make the comment that I am so glad that I don't have a girl child. I didn't have a girl, because my girl would not dress this way. My girl would not do this, so on and so forth. There's no way in the world I would let my child out the house with this on and that on, whatever. And then I start looking at some of the older women who have daughters, who have sons, that are dressed in a certain way where it leaves very little to the imagination. And I'm like, why? I can't imagine. And I know I can't compare a lot of things to back in the day, but I can't think of one. When I was growing up as a kid, I can't think of one parent in the neighborhood, and I ran with a lot of people in the neighborhood. I can't think of one parent in the neighborhood that I came across and I looked at them and they were dressed inappropriately for whatever that situation was. And I think I would have been traumatized if I had seen my mom dress the way that I see some women dress nowadays. If I was, me being the son of a mother, if you will, and if I seen my mother in some of the stuff that I've seen some of these women in, I would be embarrassed as a child. I would be traumatized. I wouldn't want to come out, because I wouldn't want my friends to look at my mom and see all her skin and all her business. I can't. I'm trying to understand the whole thing. So, and what I'm talking about is parental dress codes. Should there be a dress code for parents? My sister said no, sir. They said they didn't play that back in the day. She is exactly right. They did not play that. And she can attest as well. There was nobody in our neighborhood that as far as parents wise, that we can say that came out the house or was, looked just, I hate to use the word ratchet, but it's hard to find other words. And when I say ratchet, I'm talking about men and women. I'm not just bashing women, if you will. But what effect is this having on the children? And I've been, I've raised 3 boys. So my oldest child is 35 years old. And my youngest child is about to turn 19. So I've raised children over a span of years, and I have been to the schools, and I've seen other parents show up at their children's schools. And I've seen the way some of these parents dress when they show up at their kids' school. And I can't even imagine how I would have felt if my mother or my father or whoever had showed up at my school with the way some of these parents are dressed. It is simply inappropriate. And then you wonder why the kids are And I'm not saying if you dress a certain way, you're a bad person. But what kind of example are you setting? What kind of example are you setting? So I'm gonna post that on my Facebook page. Should parents have a dress code? And I want to get answers from individuals so that I can read these answers and go over this again, because I actually want to talk about this in more depth, if you will, because we're coming up on the end of the show right now. I actually want to talk about this in depth, more in depth. So I'm gonna put that that post on my Facebook page, and please do respond on the Facebook to that, because I want to see your perspective and include your thoughts into this topic, because I think that, as adults, I think that we have to do better. It's okay to be, cool, dress nice, and, try to be sexy or whatever you're trying to do, or whatever. It's okay to do that, but there's a fine line, especially when you have kids. And what is that girl's name? Keke Palmer. That's who I saw. I've seen her lately. If you don't know who Keke Palmer is, she's a actress, whatever. She's I don't know exactly how old she is. I would think that she's probably in her late 20s, early 30s right now. But she recently had a child. And she had a child, and she showed up at an event, at an Usher concert, I believe it was. And the outfit that she had on, all her ass cheeks was out. There was nothing covering her ass cheeks. She had on a sheer dress, her ass cheeks was out. And even her boyfriend put a comment out, just commented about it, kind of threw her under the bus, if you will. Where he said simply, "But you are a mother." I mean, she was literally at this event with her ass cheeks out, a sheer dress on, ass cheeks all over the place. So, and that was another reason why I posed this question. I almost forgot about that. But, for her to become a mother and then decide that, okay, I'm going to go out in public places, at public events, with all my ass hanging out. Try to help me understand the mentality. That's why I'm going to post this on my Facebook page. Let's see. Angela says people don't respect themselves or other. Seeing as rapid, children watch and want to be like you in the sinful world. You're exactly right. Children do what they see. Children, all their behaviors are learned. Children just don't do things that, off their own brain, if you will. They act out what they see. So as parents and as adults, we have to do better. We have to do better in our own image, if you will. I'm not a perfect person by far, and I'll be the first person to say it. I'll make mistakes after mistake in my life, or what have you. I've done a couple of dumb things in my life, or whatever, but I redeem myself. But I don't purposely go out and do dumb stuff. If I done some dumb stuff, it's probably by accident. But I know how to take responsibility for myself. I know how to redeem myself. I know how not to make the same mistake over again. And that's what I try to push on other people. I'm not perfect and would never claim to be perfect. I have my flaws. But at the same time, I have decency, I have morals, and I have respect for others and myself. So, but anyway, it is time for me to get out of here. We still got a lot to talk about. We'll be back on Monday night. Once again on Sunday night, the Black, I forgot the name of it. But anyway, I was nominated for best podcast, if you will. So I will be attending that function to see who wins. But again, win, lose, or draw, I am thankful to be here. I'm blessed to be here. I'm glad I can come before you and pass along information that you may need that could help you along in your life. And I'm one of those people that I never want to be the smartest person in the room. Because if I'm the smartest person in the room, that's a missed opportunity for me to learn from someone else. I look forward to learning from other people and learning things that I don't know. I don't know everything, but I try to know a little bit about everything. And the only way to do that is surround yourself with people who can help educate you so that you can pass it along. Because I'm not one of those that's going to, climb the ladder of just morality, if you will, and push everybody else aside. I want to bring you along with me. I want you to be informed and educated, uplifted, and, because knowledge is key. Knowledge is key. So let's see. It says, so proud of you. Learn from your mistakes. Each time you should make it change you on you. Love you, bro. Appreciate that, big sis. Appreciate that, big sis. Appreciate you listening. Again, Sunday night, 7:00, Black Men Crime Awards. It's Grotto Hall. Tickets are still available. Contact Gregory Thornhill. Look up his Facebook page, Gregory Southern Gent. Gregory Southern Gent, I think is his Facebook. And find out where you can get tickets to that. So, but anyway, it's been a pleasure being before you tonight. It's time for me to jump off. Continue to listen to WPMM where we play more music. Got music coming up. I think we got Big B maybe coming up tonight as well. So check him out. He's on the hip hop scene where he talks about where he spotlight individual artists and whatnot. So check him out. If he's not on tonight, he'll be on Saturday. So make sure you check him out. I think the Noodle Talk is on tomorrow afternoon, somewhere around 11, 12 o'clock in the afternoon. Check that out on WPMN Radio as well. And once again, I will be back on Monday, 6:00 p.m. Once again, talking about the issues that matter to you and your community. I want you guys to have a safe weekend. Have a blessed weekend. Make sure that you're being responsible. Don't do anything stupid. I tell my son that every time I talk to him. Don't do anything stupid. And because I want to see you on Monday night. I don't want you to be in any trouble come Monday. So, but again, you guys be safe. Y'all be blessed. And I am out of here.